Principles of sports nutrition.
In the context of body composition management, and specifically with the objective of reducing excess body fat, you must focus on the element of gaining lean tissue. And the only way that anybody can gain lean mass is through resistance training. We're not talking about overeating and gaining fat. We're talking about training, creating load and forces, and facilitating a process that leads to an increase in the amount of muscle, which ultimately increases your metabolic rate, elevates your health engine to its rightful state, and also puts you in a state where you can consume food efficiently and utilize energy smoothly and harmoniously so that you don't gain fat. Of course, we have to consider why you gain fat in the first place and recognize your genetic potential and your body type and all kinds of variables that pertain to your lifestyle that led you to the place in your life where you had excess body fat. But now that you've got excess body fat and you want to lose this fat, now we have to reverse the trends that led us into this state. This is the common sense logic approach of science. Now, I've discussed the purpose and function of exercise and what the word actually means in previous videos. But let's be mindful of the fact that exercise has to be consistent, and it has to consist of behavior patterns that create and generate increases in aerobic capacity, flexibility, lean mass, muscle endurance, muscle strength, and improvement in gait and balance. So exercise in the fullest sense means that the outcome of our approach is going to create healthy, functional, non-damaged muscle mass. And we're not going to use the training, which so many people do wrongly. We're not going to use the training as a method in our minds for reducing the fat. That's where nutrition comes in. That's where carbohydrate and fat intake comes in. You can't expect exercise alone to do everything that it's going to take to get you lean. There are lots of fat people that are extremely fit. So they need to lose body fat. They need to watch what they eat. They need to change what they eat. They need to manage carbohydrates. They need to recognize things like insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance, and the influence and effect of fats, carbs, and proteins on genes, on what activates genes to express themselves so that you are in a state that you can store excess energy as body fat. When we say exercise for gain, we're not talking just about functional skeletal muscle. We're also talking about bone density. We want an increase, a net increase or gain in bone density as a consequence of resistance training. We want to see more cartilage. We want to see more connective tissue. We want to see healthy functional organs expanding and growing or maintaining their appropriate size, not shrinking and collapsing. There's a lot of collapsing, there's a lot of degeneration that comes as a consequence of being inactive. So training or exercise, as we will use that term specifically here, is a science that's structured, that's itemized, that's systemized, that's calculated. It is like putting a probe on Mars. It is like putting a satellite in orbit. It is like building a hydrogen bomb. It is like creating a cell phone or a computer. It is a science. It takes thought and research and calculation, and you must show up, you must do the work, and it will work. It does work. In fact, it works the same way as if a group of men showed up on a job site with hammers and nails and lumber, and prior to building the house or the building they're going to build, they have a conception, they have plans, they have a design in their minds that they're going to create, and guess what they do? They actually create it, and you can see and watch their performance day by day. You can see the house. It's starting to get built. You can see the frame coming together, and eventually everything that is needed to put this object in mind has come together. So it's the same thing as your body. You can gain size, you can gain muscle. And when I say size, yes, women who are petite and small but have excess body fat, you've got to train for size. You've got to increase the size and structure and strength of your individual muscle fibers. That's how you go into the gym. You make training a priority. You make weight training a priority. You train progressively and symmetrically. You train the entire body. You train your calves and your thighs and your butt and your core and your breasts and your arms and your shoulders and your back. You train the entire body. You target large muscle groups and you focus on basic primary compound exercises. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to show up and do the work. There's a ton of evidence to support this whole process. Take a slow, methodical approach. Get plenty of rest. Work towards the objective. Be like the tortoise. Slow and steady wins the race. Lose the body fat slowly. Change the diet. Reduce the carbs. Increase your intake of live, alternative, healthy fats that are rich in omega-3 and essential fatty acids. Drink lots of water, and slowly but surely you're going to create a new house. You're going to erect a new building, a building that will be the evidence of the work of your performance, of your mind, of reason, calculating the outcome in advance. And there it is. There's the evidence. Look around you. See what is possible. See what others like you have done. They've transformed themselves. You have to believe that it's possible to change. But the insight you must have as a human, with the power of reason, with the power of insight, with the ability to conceptualize something in your mind that is yet to happen, that does not exist yet, the new you, believe it, do the work, and slowly and surely you will transform yourself. You'll reduce the fat. You'll get into the best possible shape. And then you'll look back and say, why didn't I start sooner? What took me so long? And then you'll realize that it was always about you. It wasn't about your parents. It wasn't about your life and stress and your genetics. It was always about you and your desire, your willingness to change. So we have to accept change. We have to control the effects of change in the most positive way. Harness the positive emotions. Rely on science. Track your progress. Understand your objectives, your goals. Get clear about your purpose. And this is why I love training and exercise, because all of the lessons that you will learn as you go through this personal journey of self-discovery can translate in the most positive sense to life itself, so that we have more victory, more sense of accomplishment, and more self-esteem.